Today we are going to discuss issues related to meditation. Meditation is a very important issue. For example, how do we ensure that something like physics is actually understood and not simply read? We give problems, or the students are expected to do experiments. So this is supposed to be something that gives them insight, the real understanding, as opposed to simply reading. Okay. So this is how learning of physics is reinforced. Now, coming to the field of religion or spirituality, we read things, we listen to some people, but how do we know that we understand it completely? And how do we ourselves realize? Okay. It is here most people say meditation is important. So this is the role of meditation in the field of religion and spirituality. Like experiments and problems solving in physics. Meditation is a way of knowing for yourself, a way to experience yourself, a way to realize the truth rather than read about it or think about it. Okay. But the problem is, it is one thing to propose that through meditation one should realize. It is quite another thing to propose how you are supposed to meditate. How are you supposed to meditate in a way that you realize the truth? There is no simple answer. There is simply no easy answer. So you can say you should meditate. It is easier said. And many want to meditate. But how is a very, very difficult issue. Many think that they want to meditate, but they are postponing meditation or avoiding meditation or not doing it properly without really inquiring into how of it. I don't think there is any easy answer. But as a part of pursuing an answer, we can discuss some methods of meditation. One method that I want to discuss is Vipasana meditation. Vipasana meditation is also called insight meditation. Insight meditation. Vipasana means insight. It is popular world over, and purpose of our discussion is not discussing only this, but meditation in general, but through this type of meditation. So I consider it as a framework to discuss the issue of meditation. Okay, but why should we choose this? For the simple reason that I went through a 10-day course very recently at Nagarjuna Sagar. Okay, so I went through experience, and then I heard some speeches by S.N. Goenka. So he made certain proposals, gave certain practices. So what he said and what he asked us to do provides a framework for a discussion on meditation. That's how I see this. Okay. Now, let us discuss first how S.N. Goenka ji got this method. Goenka was a layman, technically. Means he was not a monk. He was simply a businessman who attended a meditation session because he had migraine headaches. To get rid of migraine, he went there and he was immensely benefited by it. So he said about meditation centers all over the world. Now he has around 120 plus meditation centers all over the world. Okay, I think so he is instrumental in spreading Vipasana meditation in many countries and more so in India. But where did he learn this technique from? That it was from Obakin. Obakin was in Burma. Goenka also was in Burma. Goenka attended Obakin's meditation course and benefited. But how did Obakin learn this? It was from Saya Thet. Saya Thet, 1873 to 1945. So Obakin learned from this man. Obakin also is layman. He was a bureaucrat in Burmese administration, and he also became an accountant general. And he learned it from Satya Thetji. Satya Thetji, also a layman. So lay people, that is, who are not monks, are spreading meditation based on Buddhist tradition. Vipasana is based on Buddhist textbooks. And who started all this? Lady? He is the one who started. Lady Sayadev. And he is a monk, scholar, extremely knowledgeable, and author of many books. So, this particular thing called Vipasana meditation, or also you can say it is insight meditation, is started by him, Lady Sayadev. Was a monk. It was he who gave the permission to teach meditation to a layman, Thedji, and then to walk in and Goenka. Okay, so this is what happened. But then Goenka creates, I would say, a myth around this. What is a myth? And let me tell you, whatever I am saying as this is what Goenka said, that is based on 11 lectures he gives to the students of 10-day course. So there is a lecture at the end of every day for 10 days and then another on the 11th day. So there are 11 lectures. So whenever I am referring to Goenkaji, it is to these 11 lectures. So in one of the lectures, I would say he creates a myth. The myth is that he says this meditation technique was originally started by Buddha. Buddha is the originator. Okay. And from Buddha, disciples went to Burma, and who started teaching the way Buddha taught them. So from Buddha to somebody, and then somebody like this. Goenkaji says for 2500 years, this tradition of something like Guru-Sishya relationship, through Guru-Sishya relationship, this tradition is continuing and then continues like this. And then after 2500 years, Goenkaji coming to India. And he says it was said that the purity of this technique will be preserved in Burma, and after 2500 years, that technique will come back to India. And now, probably suggesting that Goenkaji was the one who was bringing back the technique. But if you check the evidence, this is not at all true. There is no evidence to say that for 2500 years there is a very clear-cut lineage. There is nothing like that. Okay. There is a book titled by, written by Birth of Insight by Eric Braun. Eric Braun traces the history of Vipasana, and he says all this was started by Lady Sayadev. He says he has Guru, but he hasn't given any name. And definitely there is nothing like an unbroken tradition from Buddha to Lady Sayadaw. And Eric Braun discusses under what circumstances Lady developed these techniques, what books he read, and how he evolved this technique. Because at one time meditation was being done only by monks, but Lady brought in the tradition of mass meditation. Okay, mass meditation as a practice for householders, for students, for everybody. And Lady did it under certain historical circumstances. So it is started in Burma, and this is one line, and there are other lines also, but I am discussing this line because we are finally covering Goenka, and Goenka comes under this line. Okay, so don't think that this is something which Buddha taught and the purity of what Buddha taught is preserved till Goenka's time. It is not like that. It means that we can and we should look at things independently, and whether the technique evolved by Lady is appropriate. Of course, even if one proves that it is what exactly Buddha taught, it doesn't mean we shouldn't question. No. We should subject any method to rigorous scrutiny because meditation is not an easy thing. So, we can assume on the basis of evidence given by Eric Braun that all this was started by Lady, and then we can critically look into the method he produced and how effective the method is. And also let me tell you, since all these three are laymen and only Lady is a monk, if there are problems or defects in Vipassana meditation, I think the man responsible would be Lady and not these three people. Okay. But Eric Braun says Lady was more flexible in his approach, whereas by Goenka's time, the technique became very, very rigid. Okay. And he says that the importance of theory came down, plus technique became more rigid. So there are differences between Lady and second Saya and then Obakin. There may be differences, but we are broadly looking at important characteristics, and we are reviewing and critiquing. Okay. So we will first discuss the theory and then how this is sought to be implemented. So let us discuss the theory of Vipassana meditation. This theory is based on Buddha's understanding. Okay. This is about transforming mind. This is about mind and not body. This is about mind. And it is proposed transformation of mind is possible to an extent that there can be a nirvana. That is to say, this meditation proposes as an end the highest thing, that is nirvana. Okay. And if nirvana in this life is not possible, then maybe after many lives. Buddha believes in rebirth. So in this birth, you improve your mind through meditation, and then that improvement is continued in the next birth. So meditation improves mind, and one day you make it to Nirvana. So rebirth idea is accepted, Nirvana is accepted. But of course, Goenka says that you don't have to believe in rebirth for Vipasana to be effective. Of course, he's right. But how are we to transform the mind is an issue. The theory proposed in this context is that lead a moral life. Lead a moral life. Okay. Try to be kind, useful. So there is moral thing is proposed. But this is not about meditation, but this is the basis. Okay. Morality, purity is part of it, according to Goenka. But the meditation here is, there is content in the mind. Take deeper levels of mind. I am comparing mind with a pot. Deeper levels of mind. So there is something like this. A memory and thought from a deeper level will be coming like this. This memory or a thought can be plus or minus. Pleasure, pain, success, failure, likes, dislikes. Ultimately, everything is classified in terms of plus minus. And the theory is that observe plus, but don't be attached. Don't be attached. Observe plus, but don't be attached. Don't say, I want more. A positive thought, a positive feeling. Don't be attached to it. Just observe. Negative thought. Don't avoid. A negative memory. Don't avoid. Painful thought. Don't avoid. So, there are two things here. Number one, observe. Number two, be equanimous. Equanimity. These two. Do this over a period of time. And that will lead to something like clean up this mind. And while you are cleaning up the old, don't add new. In that way, mind will be pure, passion free, aversion free, greed free, pure and compassionate. And done this way, one day you will get Nirvana. This is the theory. Okay. Equanimous observation of plus and minus cleanses the mind. I am quite familiar with this because in Krishnamurti literature, with which I am very familiar, he uses the word choiceless awareness. Choiceless awareness of your mind or anything. Choiceless awareness. Awareness plus choiceless. Okay. In a non-reactive, non-evaluative, non-judgmental, no attachments and no aversion. Don't say I want it more, nor say I don't want it at all. Just observe, observe, observe. Equanimity. And that leads to transformation. Maybe that develops a kind of detachment. One important concept in Buddhist thought is the idea of impermanence. 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 Goenka explains this impermanence. He says, plus comes, but it will go. Minus comes, it will also go. So through impermanence, probably detachment with thought process will develop. And we also know in Buddhist literature, on which this entire Vipasana meditation is based, Nirvana includes something about ego and desire. Some transformation related to ego and transformation related to desire. And we also know that Nirvana is regarded an irreversible state of well-being. So, Nirvana as the end is proposed in Vipasana meditation, and choiceless awareness of the psychological content is proposed as the means. That is the means and is the end. Okay. So, this is the theory, and I find this is reasonable. We'll examine it further. Okay. But Vipassana meditation is based on this theoretically. But how this is carried out is what we will discuss. Now let us discuss ambience. Most important part of ambience is silence that is created. Extremely important aspect. Vipassana centers are placed usually outside a city, a silent place, and talking not allowed. On anything, talking is not allowed. Discussions on Vipassana or spirituality, no. If you have any doubt, you have to ask the concerned volunteer or teacher. You can't talk among yourselves. So this is strictly prohibited. Next, phones, no. Things like TV, no. Radio. Why? Not even books. The purpose is not to give stimulation to the mind. For example, if you are talking and discussing, then you get into a network of interpersonal relations. You keep thinking in terms of how to talk or how to argue, how to convey. All these things are banned. Okay. So, I think this is an extremely good provision. Very, very good. I believe this itself is transformatory. To spend like this for 10 days, that in itself brings transformation. And you are given a single room, but if you are sharing also, you are not supposed to talk with your roommate. And men and women are very clearly segregated, not only in the residence, but also in a meditation hall, as well as in dining hall. So basically, the purpose is to reduce or avoid stimulation. Okay. Next, food. Moderate food. Breakfast, lunch, and evening snacks, and no dinner. Simple vegetarian food. And then nothing related to body, like yoga, no. Exercise, no. You can go for a walking, but in a strictly confined territory. You are not supposed to cross. Okay. So, this is what you are given. You are not charged in advance. So, there is no fees. You are expected to pay if you want after the session. And these centers are run in that sense self-sustaining basis, I think, through donations. Students are not paying any fees before the course. So Goenkaji says that you are like a beggar here because you have not paid. So he thinks that itself is a humbling experience. You don't have rights. You can't demand better food. You can't demand this or that because you have not paid for anything. Okay. But won't people come simply to enjoy these facilities? No. Because there is a discipline here. Discipline is like this. You are expected to get up at 4 a.m. and sleep by 9:30 p.m. 17 and a half hours of waking time. You are supposed to meditate for 11 hours. Plus 11. Out of 17 and a half hours. 11 hours of meditation. So, except for breaks in between, it is supposed to be meditation throughout the day. Early in the morning, and then after breakfast, and then after some break, after lunch, and then after evening snacks, and then night before sleep. And can you avoid? No. There would be volunteers to watch. So, it can be a very difficult experience at the beginning. Maybe after some time they get used to, or so that's what it is. So, people are supposed to practice meditation for 11 hours per day, like this for 10 days. Okay. So this is the ambience, and they sometimes meditate in a hall as a group, or they can sometimes meditate in a small rooms meant separately for the purpose of individual meditation. So there's so much of meditation. So when you sit for meditation, what is it that you are actually expected to do? What are you supposed to do when you sit for meditation? So what does this Vipasana meditation say about the actual thing? We discussed the theory, we discussed the ambience. But once you sit, what are you supposed to do is what we'll discuss later.